How's it going, everybody? I'm Tim Kaye, and welcome to Vegan Quest, a show where we explore the proper and most healthful way to practice a vegan diet. I've got my new apron on, sponsored by my good friend Colleen Griffin. Thank you, Colleen. In Spanish, my name is Chef Timoteo, but like the great Morris E. Day once said, it takes more than a hat to call yourself a chef, and it takes more than an apron to call yourself a chef. I'm not a chef. I'm actually here, and I'm going to teach you the one dish that I know how to make, and it's from a book I found called Eternity. It's by Jason Robel, and I'm going to try to teach you from his book. Fall is my favorite season, so it makes perfect sense that we're going to make something called Spaghetti Squash Primavera today. And basically, we got these beautiful spaghetti squashes from the market, and from Lancaster. How do you guys say it out here? Lancaster? Remove the sticker, and what you're going to do is we're going to cut this thing in half. Sometimes they're pretty rough, so take some caution. Take some caution with this. I really messed that one up, didn't I? Tell you what, we're gonna go with this one. Like I said, I'm not a professional chef, but we're doing our best here. So let's try to cut this spaghetti squash in half. You gotta be really careful not to cut yourself. You want to cut it in half, and that's what we're trying to do. Woo! Careful. All right, and that's what it looks like inside. And basically what we're going to do now is you get yourself a saucepan, glass saucepan. And the way Jason describes it is you want to put it face down, dribble a little tablespoon of olive oil, fresh virgin olive oil. And the way he describes it in the book is basically you just dribble it over. And then you want to put some sea salt, or truffle salt as they might call it. But this is not truffle salt, this is just that. And then I just like to whisk it around a little bit. And then we're going to place it into a 350 degree oven, preheated. So let's check this out. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of prep work. First thing we got is a fourth cup of pine nuts. And we're going to roast these joints. And you're going to put them in the pan like that, and let's turn this thing on. Get them all smooth like that. We're going to roast some pine nuts. And then we're going to, you want to get 3 cloves of garlic minced, okay? This is why we have a cooking show. Show you guys what not to do. Let's use this. We're going to use a paring knife. Alright, so we have 3 cloves of garlic, and we're going to mince them up. Basically, you want to slice them into tiny pieces, and we're going to mince them. Mincing is an old technique that I learned back in the day, back when I had one slice of bread for the whole day, and I had to mince it to make it last, back in my youth. And alright, we got the garlic minced. Now let's take a look at our pine nuts. I'd say they're about toasted. Let's turn that off and set that aside. Now we're going to get 2.5 cups of broccoli chopped finely into little florets. And if you guys are wondering what florets are, It's the little top of the trees. It's when you're driving down the highway in York, Pennsylvania, and you see all those trees. Those are little pieces of broccoli sprouting out above the landscape. So yeah, get yourself some little florets. And we're going 2.5 cups of these florets. Two and a half cups. That looks like a cup. Let's keep going. Let's keep going here. Just toss this away. Every good chef has a trash can nearby. I'm not saying I'm a good chef. Okay, next we're going to get 1 cup of oyster mushrooms. Sliced. A lot of slicing. That's part of the fun. I actually enjoy this. It's very, it clears your mind if you have a lot on your mind and you want to slice some, you want to slice some oyster mushrooms. Have at it. Little thin slices there. And another thing I learned recently is there's no rushing when you're cooking. Take your time. Do it right. It's an art form. You know, oysters are an acquired taste. A lot of people I know, including our cameraman, is not a fan of oysters. Wait a second, not oysters. Oyster mushrooms. I don't know why they call them oyster mushrooms. They are vegan. You're not eating an oyster. I'm going to go a little light on the oyster mushrooms. You can alter your dishes, you know. If there's an ingredient that you're not too keen on, don't use it. So now we have our oyster mushrooms, put them back in the prep bowl. And then 1 cup of cherry tomatoes. Look at those beauties. They're actually on the vine. If you're lucky enough to find some on the vine, consider yourself very lucky. I like to think that they're healthier on the vine. I'm just going to halve these. Halve them in half. You can have them any way you want. You can actually, sometimes cherry tomatoes aren't in season, and you can find grape tomatoes, which are a little bit of a smaller version, but they're just as good. They're just as succulent, and they're just as healthy. And now we're going to do the green olives. You want to get a 4th cup of green olives, pitted and sliced, right? So let's just measure the green olives. You don't really want that water in there. Look at that. Okay, so we have a cup of green olives, and I'm going to slice them. We're going to chop them, actually. We're going to just chop them. Let's just chop them all up at the same time. We don't have time for all these games. Okay, now what we want to do is get your extra virgin olive oil, and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of this. Put it in a saucepan and heat it up. And then we're going to saute the minced garlic. What happened to all the garlic? Oh, that's okay. All right, let's saute that for a little bit. All right, it's been about 5 minutes, and now we're going to go ahead and add the broccoli florets. We're going to keep an eye on this and then let it cook for about 8 minutes or so. And up next is the oyster mushrooms. Followed by, that was the olives. Make sure you don't do what I just did. But we're going to go ahead and add the oyster mushrooms anyway. Mushrooms, olives, it's all the same. We're going to add some rosemary. Fresh rosemary if you can get it. And speaking of Morris Day, fresh thyme. And we're going to add a pinch of red pepper flakes. Got to add a little spice to the dish. This is a fresh dish. And we're going to let that go for about 3 minutes or so. And next up is the cherry tomatoes. We're going to go ahead and let that cook for about 2 minutes. Alright, it's been about 35 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and get the spaghetti squash out of the oven. Ow! Kind of hot. Check that out. Look at that beauty. Alright, set it in the oven. Alright, so now what we want to do, get yourself a set of tongs, fork, and flip one of these joints over. You kind of want to get the seeds out of it, which is kind of difficult to do because it's burning hot. But we're just going to discard the seeds over here. And that's how we're going to do this. Alright, so basically, with spaghetti squash, you want to get those seeds out of there because you're not going to eat the seeds. You don't want squash growing in your stomach. Alright. Got a lot of the seeds out now. I'm not doing a good job of this, but you guys can take your time at home and really really do a good job at this. How do you do this? Oh, you basically, I might be doing it wrong. Use your tongs. No, that's not right either. If I could just do it like this. It's a hot mess. So you want to do that with both pieces of squash. This is not looking very good. You basically want to shred it. Really get that spaghetti squash out of there. You're going to shred this thing. You got to really get that spaghetti squash squashed. That's why they call it squash. Next week we're going to have some real professional chefs come in and give me a hand. Anyway, alright, here we go. So we got that. And ideally you'll have a lot more spaghetti squash. And then you want to add the broccoli florets and the mixture that we made earlier. Give me a little bit of that pepper. Give me a little bit of that salt. Put it in the skillet and cook it on that stove I bought. Oh, I forgot. You want to drizzle a little bit of olive oil in there. Drizzle the olive oil, and then you want to top it with the roasted pine nuts. Probably my favorite part of this whole dish. And there you have it. Jason Robel, I hope I did you justice. I apologize. I'm not a professional whatsoever. But I know that this will taste good, so that's really what counts. So if you guys stick around for the next episode, we're going to have a professional chef come on and teach me how to professionally cook, professionally keep my area clean, not burn myself, and not do this. Thank you. Alright guys, we're going to give you a little bonus segment. What I'm going to teach you how to make is something called Kale a la Adryelle. My friend Adryelle taught me how to make kale. And basically, it's real simple. You're going to get your kale stalk and rip the kale. Make sure you clean the kale first. Wash it pretty good because you never know if it might have some chemicals. Let's put the pot over here. And gonna rip it off the stem and just toss it into the pan. You know what? I messed up again. Make sure in the pan you put some olive oil. extra virgin. All right. We're going to make just enough for a side dish for one person. Or for two people. We have, our cameraman is here today. Let's see, we're going to do this, blah, 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 blah. This is a very quick dish, but it's a fresh dish. And then we're going to take some garlic, put little slivers of garlic into the pan, like that. You know what? Just chop up the garlic. Just chop it up. Toss it in the pan. Add a little bit of salt for taste. Alright. I like to add that salt. Then we're going to turn the stove on and cook it. And it should take about 5 minutes. Alright, now it's kind of shrunken down to almost nothing. And that's when you know it's done. You might want to let it go a little longer to let it brown a little bit, and depending on your preference. I like it a little burnt, actually. And then cut your heat off. And you come over here and pour it into a serving dish. I'm gonna make 2 dishes here because my cameraman and I are gonna eat now. Everybody, I'd like to welcome John. Everybody, this is Orkin Bjorkin.
Hello.
He's helping me out on the show, and let's see what you think.
Alright, I'm gonna give it a try. Looks pretty amazing. Oh man, I love garlic and I love kale, so I'm very excited about this. Fantastic.
So there you have it, folks. Kale a la Adryelle. And we want to thank York Kitchen, which is in Central Market, York, Pennsylvania, for having us. And stay tuned for the next episode where we have professional chefs come in and teach us how to cook. And now, what time's Rob Burritos close? I'm hungry.